Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to another video. This feels so weird to not be sat here with loads of makeup in front of me, but as you can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 things that might be causing your blood sugars to be high and how to possibly correct them, and just some tips and tricks I've learned along the way. So if you want to see more, if you want to be educated about diabetes, or if you're diabetic yourself and you just want to know a bit more, then just keep on watching. Okay, so if you are new to my channel, hi, I am Jess. I am type 1 diabetic and I was diagnosed in August 2011 on bank holiday weekend, which is actually coming up in about 2 weeks. So it is my 8-year diaversary, is that what it's called? Something like that this year. I have struggled, not as much as most people. I haven't had loads of like hospital admissions or anything like that, but everyone struggles. You have days where it is a lot worse than others. So yeah, I thought I would upload a video on the reasons why my sugars are high and possibly the reasons why your sugars are high if you can't quite work it out on your own. If you do want to see my diagnosis video, that is on my channel. I will link that down below, where I tell you all about how I found out I was type 1 diabetic and the whole rollercoaster journey of me being diagnosed. So if you want to see that, check it out down below. So now I'm going to get into the 10 reasons you could have high blood sugars. So I've written a big list here just because I want to keep on track and not forget what I've actually said, because I do that quite a bit. So number 1 is, have you actually injected for the food that you're eating? Now I do this so much, it is so bad, because you get so engrossed in the fact that you want to eat that you work out all the carbs, but the point of injecting, which for me is actually putting it into my blood machine and getting my Omnipod to inject me, I completely forget. It's a lot easier if you're in injections, because obviously you have to physically inject, so if you forget that, it's kind of a big deal, because that is a big thing to remember. But the fact that I just have to type it into my blood machine and my Omnipod does all the work for me, it completely slips my mind sometimes and I have to check back, and then you can suddenly be an hour after eating and realise, oh, my sugars are actually rising quite rapidly. I don't know why that is. I calculated everything and then you look back and you haven't injected for what you actually ate. So that was my biggest one, and I haven't actually worked out how to stop doing that other than be more conscious of injecting before eating. Which sounds really obvious. Everyone's going to be like, why you do that? Because we are human and we all make mistakes and everyone runs away with themselves. So please tell me I'm not the only one. Like this video if I'm not the only one that forgets to do things. I sound like the worst diabetic ever, but that is reason number 1. Reason number 2, and I have done this as well. These are all things I've done, so you're not alone if you have had these things or done these things. But reason number 2 is, have you actually taken your long-acting insulin? So that might be, I think I was on Levemir, I'm not too sure what the other ones are, but Levemir is like the nighttime insulin that works through the night. Nowadays I don't have to do that since I am on an Omnipod, and long-acting is basically insulin being put into my body every hour. But when I was on Levemir, it would be about 8 o'clock at night. Every night I would have this injection. I think it's 15 units that I remember. And one day I actually forgot, and I forgot that I forgot, which is the worst thing. I woke up, I was only being diagnosed about 6 months, and I woke up and realised that my sugars were on 30 and I couldn't get them down, and then we realised I hadn't injected my Levemir the night before. So I ended up in hospital, only to be told that I just needed to inject half the amount that I should have taken the night before, which would have been nice to know. So if you have forgotten your long-acting insulin, obviously I'm not a professional, so do consult a professional before doing this, but I was told to take half the dose you should take, and it should correct and cover you for the rest of the day until you need your next injection. Another thing, set a timer on your phone, so you consciously have to turn it off to tell yourself you've actually taken the long-acting insulin, and you know you've taken it and you're all good for the night and the day. That is a big one. Everything can be sorted And keeping control of your blood sugars is difficult. Everyone has days where they're really, really high, or they're really, really low, or they're just struggling. Don't worry, I have that all the time, especially at the minute. So reason number 3 of why your sugars may be high, and if it's not the first 2, it might be this one, is, are you stressed about anything? Have you had stress at work? Are you stressed from home life? Are you moving? Have you got like exams coming up, test results coming out, anything like that? Any small thing can stress you out, and you might not feel super stressed, but your body reacts to different amounts of stress, and sometimes that comes out in your blood sugars. Sometimes they go really low, but mine mostly go really high, especially at my maths GCSE. I was so annoyed, I was so stressed, so tired, everything like that, that I ended up with blood sugars of 33, and I felt so sick, so dizzy, and I had to sit there and take my exam. I still managed to get a B. I have no idea how, but I know if I hadn't had those high sugars, I could have done better, and I hadn't told my school, and I didn't get special treatment, so I had to just stick with the B, which is fine. A B is amazing. But yeah, exam stress, home stress, any stress at all can really affect your sugars. That one I don't really have a cure for that will work straight away, other than taking time for yourself, sitting down, breathing, just doing something to relax yourself, whether it be watching TV. My biggest one is going for a walk with Callum and talking about our future, and you get really excited and the stress kind of disappears. Talking to your family, just explaining what's going on, but usually it's like taking time for myself, and that really helps me, and breathing and everything like that. And it might take a couple of hours for your sugars to come down, because obviously you've got adrenaline and everything like that, and that is one of the reasons why they go up. So calming down and just breathing and taking the time to relax is the best thing, and also checking your blood sugars more regularly than you would think to normally. Reason number 4 that you might have high sugars is, now this one is a massive one that I do all the time again. Have you been using the same injection site for too long? Now I am so guilty of this, because I get so comfortable with a site that I don't want to move it, because I don't like moving my sites that much. I had to move my Omnipod yesterday because I had sugars of 22, really high. I was like, why aren't they coming down? And then I realised that I'd had my Omnipod on like my back for about 3 months, just like swapping sides. And I realised that maybe my back is becoming insulin resistant, maybe I'm just having too many on my back. So as soon as I moved it to my leg, within I'd say about 6 hours, they come back down to about 10, which is still a bit high, but I can bear it, like I can manage that a lot more, and it doesn't mess with your head as much. It doesn't make you think like you're going mad because your sugars are so high. I also had it where I ended up in hospital on blood sugars of 33. Again, I kept my Omnipod, or I think I was on my AccuCheck at the time. I kept it on my stomach so much. I think I'd had the AccuCheck in possibly August of the year before, and I was still having the cannula in my stomach in February of the following year, because I was comfortable with it. And that's the problem, you get so comfortable with an area that when you try and move it, it becomes scary again. Whereas if you use different areas all the time, they don't become such a scary moment when you go to have to move your pods. So I would suggest moving your sites all the time. It's something that everyone tells you, but you do forget sometimes. I always forget, because you get comfortable, you get used to where it is, and you don't really want to change it up. Sometimes you don't want it on show because it's the summer and you don't want it on your leg, but if it's going to help your sugars, why not? So this is a bit like number 3. Number 5 is, are you anxious about anything? Because anxiety has the same effect as stress does. It causes an influx in adrenaline. It causes you to feel shaky and nervous. Sometimes you can get the symptoms of hypo. I have that sometimes when my anxiety gets really bad. I basically get the symptoms of hypo, but my sugars could be at 15. So it's kind of working out whether it's a hypo or whether it's anxiety related, and anxiety is a big one for me. I do suffer with like quite severe anxiety. I don't really talk about it. I'm not like diagnosed with anxiety, but I know I do. I have certain things that I really avoid, or I try to avoid. I am getting better, but anxiety can cause an influx in your blood. It can cause them to go either way, high or low, depending on the day. That's basically with me. Number 6 is, are you run down? Do you think you have an infection somewhere? Have you just got yourself overworked? You might not feel it, you might just be a bit tired, but sometimes your body just sort of has to focus on one thing, and if you're run down or you're starting to get like a cold or something, sometimes that can make your sugars go a little bit higher, and the only way to sort of combat that is to drink plenty of fluids to flush things out your system. Keep an eye on your sugars more, make sure you're testing more regularly, and again, rest. Maybe also it's all about staying in tune with your body and knowing what is going on. So knowing whether you're stressed, whether you're anxious, whether you think you're getting run down, whether you've done too much. I forget I even have diabetes, to be honest, and that's probably the worst thing to say, but I forget and I deny I have it sometimes. Everyone does that, everyone goes through a stage of that, but we are just like everyone else. We just have a little bit more, actually it's a benefit, we're a bit more in tune with our body. We know what's going on and we know when something's wrong. So number 7 is, have you eaten really high sugary foods? So even if you are to inject the correct amount at the correct time, high sugar foods really don't like being broken down. The sugar gets into your system quicker than the insulin can and can send your sugars high. I'm not saying they'll go like 30, but you're going to be in around the 10s. The only way I have found to combat this is either injecting a little bit more so that when it does go up it brings it back down, or injecting like 10-15 minutes before I'm going to eat, which is the most difficult thing because I don't know 10-15 minutes before I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat, especially if it's like a snack or it's that time of the month and I want chocolate. I'm not necessarily going to know that I'm going to indulge in chocolate about 15 minutes before I'm going to eat it. I probably should. Maybe that's one thing I should do. Maybe I should know when I'm going to eat things. That's my aim for this video. But yeah, high sugary foods can cause an influx in your blood sugar and cause things to go a bit haywire. It's just figuring out how your body works, because this is what I have experienced. It's not necessarily what you experience. Number 8. This is similar to number 7. And this is, have you eaten a very high carbohydrate meal? Maybe it's high in carbohydrates, high in starches or fat. Stuff like pizza, pasta and rice. They're my 3 big ones. They always send my sugars higher later because they take a lot longer to get into your system because they are so sort of heavy. If you imagine like a dense ball and a light ball. So say your light ball is like your fruits and veg, they're really easy, just fluffy to like break down, but your heavy ball, your more dense ball is going to be harder to break down because there's so much packed in there. That's a bit like what it is with fats and starches and carbohydrates. It can take hours for them to actually get into your system and affect your sugars. I have found on the Omnipod and the AccuCheck there is something called a multi-wave. This is what we do for multi-wave in my house, which is really cringy, but oh well. We have a multi-wave, and basically, so you put in your carbs and you say, I want 50% up front. And then it asks you how long you want to spread the rest of it over. So mine, for a pizza, which is usually a Friday night, it's 50% of the carbs up front, and over 6 hours I take the rest of the insulin, and my sugars are, I'd say spot on, but they're not spot on the whole time because obviously it's quite difficult to calculate. So it's all about trial and error. Maybe try it out. I'd suggest obviously talking to a professional, but trying that 50% up front and maybe spreading it over 2 hours just to see how your body reacts. Maybe it keeps them down a bit longer. But I'd suggest that for pasta, pizza and rice especially. I've never had any problems with like mashed potato, and that's like my favourite food. So I've never had a problem with that. But yeah, pizza, pasta and rice I definitely multi-wave for. Number 8 of the reason your sugars could be high. Did you do a lot of exercise the day before, a couple of hours before? Mine's especially the day before. If I did a lot of walking, maybe cycling, maybe swimming, something like that, the day before, my sugars are always affected the day after. I end up with hypos, I end up with highs. It just all affects me, and it's because your body is still trying to react to what you've just done, but my body seems to be a lot slower. I know a lot of diabetics actually have this. So maybe do a temporary basal rate for the day after of a reduced basal of maybe 20%, or maybe an increased basal 20%, depends on how your sugars react. Obviously, again, consult a professional, but I would usually do this for about 12 hours, just so you know you're covering it. And if they do start to rise or drop, depending on what you've done, then cancel it and you have got out of that period. But definitely one to look out for is if you have done a lot of exercise the day before, it can seriously affect your sugars. Number 10, and this is the final one that I have in my list. This is for all the girls out there, is are you due on your period? I know it's a very touchy subject. I don't usually talk about it on my channel. I don't think I've ever spoken about it on my channel. But the week before I'm due on my period, that's PMS time, that's influx of hormones. It can seriously affect my sugars, and I hate it because it's every month. So I have to like work out every month, this is the week before my period that is gonna really affect me. It can go high, like I said, like exercise, or it can go low. Depending on the month, depending on what I've done, how I'm feeling. But again, temporary basal rates are good for this time. Testing your sugars more, just knowing what your body's doing, knowing the pattern. Seeing the pattern is the best thing to do with all diabetes, just to work out what's happening, what's going on, and yeah, like I said, staying in tune with your body. Okay, so that is my 10 reasons your blood sugars might be high. I thought I'd do this video just to sort of educate people, whether you have diabetes or whether you're just watching this because you want to know more about diabetes. I don't mind. I welcome anyone and everyone that wants to watch this video. If you have enjoyed this video and if it has taught you anything or helped you with anything, whether your sugars are high and you just wanted to look at a video just to see whether there are any other reasons why they were high and whether you could work out what it was, or just for education, give this video a big thumbs up down below. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of these videos. Ring the bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do upload makeup videos, but I will also be slipping in a few vlogs, a few like educational videos, so don't miss those. I upload on a Wednesday, Friday and a Sunday at 7 PM. Comment below any other videos you want to see me do, whether it be makeup, whether it be diabetes related, any other questions you have, like leave a comment below and I'll reply to them as soon as I get them. I am so happy to hear from you guys, and if you need any help at all, I am here. Just message me and I will reply to you. So I hope you have an amazing week, and I hope this video has helped you out a lot, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!